A milonga code for women is to sit in a particular spot, because if the man knows where you are sitting, he will eventually ask you to dance when the opportunity arises. But if you move about, he won't be able to know where you have moved without some effort. As a glance is all is needed and women outnumber men at almost all milongas, the risk of not being asked to dance is simply too high. Wallflowering, according to Savigliano, occurs when a woman is not invited to dance for a long time, and it is an accepted role simply because there is not an alternative choice. Savigliano argues that even an experienced milonguera will fall into the wallflower role, and she resolves that the real femme fatales of the milongas are actually the men. Despite Denniston's declaration that the antithesis of machismo is demonstrated by the fact that men traditionally also dance the woman's role during practice, I argue that by following this reasoning, the antithesis of feminism should be women dancing the male's role. Yet, this is not traditionally accepted, not even for practice. Before starting to teach in 1998, I took classes with renowned tango master Carlos Gavito. I wanted to know if I was ready to teach both leading and following roles. His first comment was, "You will regret it," followed by, "Learning to lead will ruin your following forever." I was puzzled. Why is knowing the follower's role a beneficial advantage for a leader, but for the follower, to know a leader's role is considered a catastrophic disadvantage? Now I will draw some parallels between the milongas and two important social activities in Argentina, asado and piropos, asking if they are partly recreated in the milongas. Asado is a culinary event when men gather around a grill on which different cuts of meat are being attended by one man, while the other men drink and converse. Sunday is usually the day in which the asado is prepared and consumed, when men discuss political, sportive, or working facts. The grill is usually placed in an open space, garden or balcony. At an asado, women are usually preparing salads in the kitchen and doing the dishes, and are virtually excluded from the event. As Tobin observes, quote, "Asado is both nationalistically Argentine and chauvinistically masculine," end quote. The asado establishes male bonding and identity, perhaps related to the iconic figure of gauchos or cowboys, mentioned previously, roaming endlessly the vast Argentinian landscape, guarding thousands of cattle. Male friendship bonds extend also to dancing together in a milonga, as a mockery demonstration during special occasion. Ortiz describes the piropo as an important but casual daily interaction. Quote, "A woman passes. A man watches her approach. It is the shock of being seen that makes her exist. The man drops a word or two into her ear. Aggressive, lyrical, erotic, romantic, crude, comical, inspired, dull. It doesn't matter. He has declared that she is a woman." End quote. Some piropos examples are: "Heavens opened and the angels came down." "Brunette, you move like the Bolshoi ballet." "If beauty were a crime, you deserve life in prison." Asado and piropos are connected because a delicious cut of meat often used for the asado is called lomo. One of the most common piropo expression is que lomo, therefore transferring the image of tasty meat to that of a pleasing-looking woman. The relation between the female body to meat in Argentina dates back to around 1890, when Eduardo López Bago wrote the novel Carne Importada, Imported Meat, about the white slavery issue in Argentina. It was common for European women to be tricked into sailing to Buenos Aires with the prospect of marriage and decent work, to then confront the reality of working in one of the many cabarets. Quote, "By 1915, fear of rowdy public entertainment shifted from the bordello to the cabaret and from prostitution to tango." End quote. In 2001, my very first invitation to dance on Buenos Aires soil was by a milonguero, a mature and respected tango dancer, who, whilst dancing, stopped at almost every table to present me to his friends. I thought he was being hospitable since I told him I had just arrived. I felt disorientated by his friends making quick comments amongst themselves, which I could not grasp, and taking his attention away, stopping continuously our dance. When I inquire from other women about this behavior, they responded that it is meant as a compliment, a piropo. Quote, "The primary relation in tango is not between the heterosexual dance partners, but it is between the man who dances with a woman and the other men who watch." End quote. Quote by Tobin. Sitting in a cafe on a busy street, I observed men and women go about their daily business, and I would try to catch the piropos exchange between them. It was more difficult than catching cabeceo at the Milongas. Both the piropos and the asado requires a male active presence and performance. Women take part or receive in the same way they sit in the milonga and wait for a cabeceo. But many Argentine women assure me that they have more power than men in the milongas and in life because they have learned to deploy the subtle art of persuasion and manipulation. Surely this art has a purpose within a hierarchical power structure, but if it is performed from outside of this structure, it remains, in my opinion, invisible and vulnerable and redundant. Yet women seem to strongly identify with it. On the other hand, many men affirm that women have all the power, both in milonga and life.